As a counsellor, I've experienced anxiety in different forms and I've worked with it in different forms. And one of the things I've taken away is that there is a common theme within all the presentations of anxiety that I've seen. And I want to talk a bit about that in this video because I think if you understand this kind of structure that underlines anxiety, it may help you to overcome it. And that is to do with the relationship between our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. Now, anxiety and the root of anxiety can really be broken down into these three areas. So you find yourself in your head a lot and you might be worrying about different things. I'm sure there's plenty of examples you might be able to think about, I certainly can, of things that we worry about. And of course, when we have those worrying thoughts, it leads us to feeling very uneasy, unsettled, fearful, just anxious, generally stressed. We can't get the thought out of our mind, so we have to do something about it because now we're feeling negative and we can't just sit. We can no longer enjoy the present moment with these negative emotions. We've got to do something about it. So that kicks us into action. The action is intended to resolve the problem that's causing the stress and anxiety. And it might be that you've resolved the problem and it's done. Or maybe, and what's really going on is you're acting to no longer feel anxious. So you're not acting out of addressing the root cause, you just want to act to no longer feel anxious. And that's why escaping behaviors work so well, because you can escape. It could be in something destructive, alcohol, drugs. It could be something fairly harmless, unless it's taken to the extreme, which could be, playing video games or watching films, all that kind of thing, where you just escape in a world and no longer live in your present world, but you're escaping the anxiety. That's the root of it. So you have the thoughts that are fueling those negative, uncomfortable feelings, and then you have the behaviors. Thoughts, feelings, and behaviors interplay with each other. They have a strong relationship with one another. So in theory, if you were to change your thoughts, your feelings would change as a result. And if your feelings change, you might have a different behavior as a result of that. The more you understand your unique relationship between thoughts, feelings, and behavior, the more you will be able to manage how you respond. So if you're feeling stressed or anxious, and normally it's so potent that it just overtakes you and you end up just, your mind gets consumed by the anxiety and thoughts you're having, it can be very easy to kind of kick yourself after and think, why did I let that happen again? Why did I stress about this? The thing I stressed about didn't even happen. So understand fully the relationship between your thoughts, feelings, and behavior. Once you understand that, you'll be in a better position to manage your response. Because when you understand your thoughts, feelings, and behavior and how they impact each other, so how often you have a thought, how often that thought leads to a particular feeling, and is that feeling that makes me want to do something I don't want to do. If you understand that, you can then manage the way you respond. And the way you can manage the way you respond is by bringing the relationship between those three things into consciousness, into awareness. The more you're aware of that relationship, the better your ability to choose how you respond. Because you're aware, it's no longer automatically going to happen, because now you're conscious of it. Now you can catch it in the moment, and then you can choose how you respond. You might choose to respond the same way, or you might be like, I'm aware of what's happening and why this is happening, and here's an opportunity for me to act in a way that I know is going to help me rather than hurt me. It's a skill to be able to recognize when you have a thought at the time. It's a skill to recognize when a thought makes you feel a certain way. It's a skill to recognize when the way you feel makes you act a certain way. This is skill that you have to develop from nurturing a baby. Slowly take your time with self-compassion and with gratitude. You can grow the skill set so that when the time comes where you're in a stressful situation and you're feeling anxious, you can catch yourself saying, okay, I'm feeling anxious right now because this has happened, or I'm feeling anxious because I've had this thought. How can I overcome it? And the way to overcome it is to choose how you respond, because you have very limited opportunity to manage your thoughts or change your thoughts. You can kind of look at changing your perspective, shifting your perspective, doing positive affirmations, but can you really delete the negative automatic thought you have? It's very unlikely. You have to live with it. But what you can do is learn to become familiar with that thought. Practice staying with the thought. And the way you become familiar and the way you become more conscious, the way you become more aware is by doing things like journaling, meditation, reflection. These things that's going to help you to strengthen that skill set of being conscious, because then the conscious you is going to choose the behavior that's going to help you to manage your anxiety for the future. So there might be a place where you get triggered and your anxiety and the thoughts are being triggered and it's getting you feeling really unsettled and really stressed. Like you have to take action now. Your stress response is kicking in. If you're aware this is happening, you have the chance to make a change. But if you're not aware, that stress response is going to make the decision for you. Only later then to look back and think that's not what I wanted to do. To overcome anxiety, you need to develop a skill set where you can recognize you're anxious in the first place, point your finger to the thought or the situation that triggered your anxiety, and then think, okay, this has triggered my anxiety and I'm feeling this way. What behavior or what list of behaviors or responses can I choose that will make me feel better and address it? Now, if you choose something that is going to speak to the anxiety and it's coming from a place of anxiety, you may think, well, I'm going to feel better if I do this because my anxiety is telling me to do it. But are you really helping yourself for next time and growing that skill set, or are you just feeding that anxiety even more? Because the way to really manage these difficult emotional triggers is sometimes to starve the emotions that are causing them in the first place. Because are those emotions from you genuinely? It might seem like it because you feel it, but did you actually learn it from your environment at a previous point? And it's something you've since adopted because it's familiar, you feel safe doing it, even though in the longer term it's really harming you, it's consuming you. Anxiety and stress is stored in the body. The body remembers this, so you have to use your body to work with your mind. So doing things like doing journaling with incorporational breathing, where you're managing your nervous system that's built in, the stress response that's built into your nervous system, which is on standby when you have a triggering thought. These interplay with each other. So even if you address one, you still have the issue of the other. You may feel anxious and stressed and be like, I didn't have a thought, nothing happened, why am I feeling stressed? Because there's something in the body that's stored, it remembers it, and something's happened where it's raised an alarm, saying, you're stressed, I'm making you stressed, you need to take action, you need to do something. So understanding your body, understanding the meaning and place that anxiety has in your life will benefit you when it comes to managing your response to it and eventually overcoming it. Overcoming anxiety is the end goal. You have to work your way up slowly, with space and time, with gratitude, with self-compassion. Unfortunately, there's nothing quick when it comes to mental health resolve. It just takes time. And that's why being self-compassionate is so important. You have to offer yourself that space. When you're stressed and anxious, you may not even realize that you're stressed and anxious because you've been so disconnected with your feelings. There could be this distance between you really understanding your emotions, which are in the body, understanding your bodily sensations, and being kind to yourself and compassionate to yourself. So I want to end this by saying that if you feel this is you and you've resonated with what I've shared in this video around what you need to overcome anxiety, or perhaps not even being at that stage, just still being at the stage of not understanding why you have this stress, why you're feeling down but you don't know what's going on. If there's anything there, then please contact me for an initial consultation, which is at no charge and no obligation, and we can start to explore what it will take for you to live a life of joy and contentment that you no doubt deserve. Thanks for watching.